All right, we're going to talk today about how to use low ticket offers, how to get them quickly launched, and how Zach did it here to help get a $28,000 launch in one weekend and scaling to $100,000 a month without sales calls, without anything showy, without fake promises. We're talking about all of his methodology on this Garlic Marketing Show. Zach, say hi.
Hey,
And also, he at the wait till the end. He's going to give you the easiest tip to get started today. You will not believe how simple it is. Of course, this is brought to you by videocasestory.com. One of the best things you can do to sell more on YouTube is have more of your client stories and more of you. If you want to find your seven-figure story and learn how to tell it, go to videocasestory.com/finder, and you'll find out exactly how to find that story and how to start selling with it today. All right, let's get started.
Is Gino Wickman. I was introduced to Ian, and that's what brought me into this video world and got me embracing this video world. And Ian did exactly what I hoped. He got me really comfortable with putting videos out to the world and having a great strategy around putting videos out to the world, because there's so much more than just shooting a video. And so the way that he positions those videos, optimizes those videos, he's done a great job.
All right. So tell us a little, we're going to get into how you're scaling this. Just did this launch and you launched 20K, 8K in a weekend and you get scaling to 100K a month. But tell me a little bit about your business and how you got into this.
yeah. So for context, I've been working kind of originally starting way back in the day from building messenger chatbots to learning about Facebook ads and copywriting. And, fast forward a few years later, had my first really big success when I took an old digital product for this client that was just kind of gathering dust, sitting there, not doing anything. We pulled that out and built an entire, what I call a micro offer around that. And so we basically installed a semi-passive income stream that did 420K in 8 months just on the front end of this product. And that was my light bulb moment of getting buyers through ads is so much better than trying to run to like a free VSL funnel or a webinar funnel, which is what I was doing in the past. I was trying to make those work. And I did have people like booking calls. Like I was successful at getting calls booked, but it's just very different when you're just collecting Stripe money in your bank account and you're growing your email list, without having to jump on the phone. So fast forward a little bit, I started, I couldn't figure out the back end. And in order to do that, I launched a business in 2024 called the Productized Coach. And that's when things really took off, started launching tons of different offers, helping lots of clients basically get buyers and scale without having to jump on calls. And going into 2026, I kind of had this interesting moment because in December, I had this guy reach out, and I've been in this space for a while. I've seen all these, other people pop up that are like teaching low ticket and all this. And this guy messaged me, and it was a really good point. He's like, "Hey, I see all these people talking about this, but most of these guys, they just have one or two big launches. They post a screenshot of that, but I don't see anyone like consistently, scaling these low ticket offers to like 100 grand per month. Like everything just seems like there's a big launch. Here's a testimonial. Come buy my stuff, right? And the biggest thing I hate about the marketing industry personally is when you just have the guru who is showing only his results selling you the thing versus like showing people in different bunch of different industries and how that works, right? So as soon as I got this message, it was so funny because at the time of this, I was working with a new business partner named Jack, and he's actually an amazing guy. We've gone back and forth for ages. He actually helped Mind Valley scale to one of their VSLs to over 100 million in sales.
Wow.
And he was really good at launching these low ticket offers. I'd seen him come in working with a different partner. And I said, you know what? I really want to grow this other side of the business, which is a little bit more on the done for you and the partnership side. So not like agency, but really partnering with people with audience, with assets, with IP, and really helping them scale. And so he started working on this. We were working on these offers together. And then by December 31st, we launched the front end for this product. And it just started taking off like a rocket to the point where we just went from basically spending nothing to spending one to, 1,000 to like $1,500 per day. It was profitable on the front end. And we just
Wow.
did our first launch for the back end of this and did like $28,000 in sales. And so now we see this beautiful path of like scaling the front end to consistently get buyers and then bringing them to a webinar or some sort of a back-end funnel to actually then ascend them to a premium client, all without calls. That's my goal, is to do it to 100K per month in profit without sales calls. And so we're using a number of mechanisms to do that. But the big focus is getting buyers, bringing them into an ecosystem, building a relationship, and then ascending them to actually getting more support and help.
I mean, it makes sense. And you can do so much nowadays, with automation. Um, when you're looking at that low ticket offer, how are you deciding? Are you testing out multiple low ticket on the front end? And what is low ticket, and how high? I mean, how big of a client
Yeah.
can you get with this?
Yeah, great question. So I always say like low ticket is basically under $100. I typically always tell my clients to price lower. So it's just, I always say, if you're going to start, like, start hitting base hits. I love pricing things at like $14.95. Under $17, I find is a really good price point for low ticket, just because, again, it's like an impulse no brainer. I find anything above 17, you have to think about it for some weird reason. Even the people that have money have to think about it. I don't know why this is, but it just, every single time I find it goes over 17, it moves away from that immediate impulse buy to, I have to think more about this. We actually didn't test multiple low tickets. What I always say, like, the best way to think about finding a really good low ticket offer is starting with the one thing that actually matters the most. And I think a lot of people, they jump into the specifics of product, they jump into bonuses, maybe they think on price points or like funnel design, all this stuff. And I actually think the only thing that matters is the headline. And I call this your North Star promise. Because if you have a really good headline that is able to have a really, like, heck yes, I want this outcome, and the outcome of it is extremely clear, and something that is new and better than what people have tried in the past, then the only thing you're basically doing once you have that headline is just showing everyone through the rest of the sales page that you can prove you can deliver on that headline. And that's the way I really think about this. So everything for me always starts from headlines. If I'm going to test a new page, I literally just will put a different headline there and see how it converts. And then again, the rest of the page is just to simply prove, including for the product, the bonuses, that I can deliver on that headline. That's all I'm trying to do. Does that make sense?
No, it makes complete sense. I mean, it makes a lot of sense, and I think so many people get away from that. And so, are you testing out those headlines first? How do you know? How do or you're like, I know this is going to be the headline.
I normally, well, when I launch something, if I don't have an immediate feeling that this is amazing and going to work well from just reading the headline, I normally just stay on that headline until I have something that really clicks. Absolutely, if you wanted to, you could split test two different headlines, but I think the big distinction you want to move away from is that if you're just split testing because you're not really, you feel unconfident, then you're kind of just guessing. It's like you're going to a roulette table and kind of just hoping something works. But when you have a headline and you read it and it just means like, oh, this is it, that's how you really know you've got something. Like, there's something here. And like, I just wrote a new headline and showed it to my partner, and he, for an offer I want to launch in the future. He's like, oh, this is so good. Like, you could just tell by just reading that one line that you're like, someone is going to keep scrolling on this page and read more about what this is and how this can help them. So it's the big thing, like, on headlines that make them work really well, to just give you the simple formula on this, is if you can have a verb at the very start. So very first, rather than like how to or discover, it's always like a verb. So I love like turn, install, become, use, something along those lines, to just get them into action right away. Right. So as an example, for you doing YouTube, it literally could be like, use these 5 YouTube scripts responsible for converting over 1,000 client, whatever. Right. So
Yeah,
that's really the frame that I would be thinking in, is how I can always put it into a verb, because verb means action and action leads to results. And that's the most important thing.
I love it. And I love about this is it's everyone what goes over tactics, but this is such a fundamental. It is such a fundamental. And so you get, and tell me a little bit about the industry that you're working on with this 28K launch and scaling to 100K.
Yeah, so I can't give too much details on the offer, but it's basically like we're certifying people in a modality. So it's like basically becoming. So like the headline starts with the word becoming, as an example. And so this one is really like more of a certification program for something that this partner of ours has been doing for a long time already, and now he's just helping other people branch into it. But as an example, for this same partner, actually, because I've worked with him for a while, like he's mainly in the personal development space, and one of the most common things is just showing, like, business I find is very easy because it's like use this thing, get clients, get money, right? Personal
Yeah.
development can sometimes be a little bit trickier, or if it's something that's just not as clear. And the easiest way to frame this is just stop using words like confidence. Don't use words like, align, or any, maybe like, maybe not align, but like confidence, or any of these kind of like broad personal development words, because they're just useless, right? So one of the headlines that worked really well for this guy when I was running an offer was like use this 60-second rewiring exercise to trigger instant flow states. And then we had, so you can close more deals, deliver standing ovation speeches, and get more done before noon. Oftentimes it really just comes down to being more tangible. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah. No, that's it's like lack of specificity I see all the time. And I love that, you know. And it's funny because I see that in storytelling too. Like you're doing a great job of it, but you know, I get a lot of marketers on and that they're just so general in their storytelling. I'm like, but what is it exactly? You need to tell people exactly what's going on. And so how, you know, moving someone from a $7, $17, whatever, up to a high ticket offer without a sales call. What, how do you get that done? How are you doing that here?
Yeah, so the way we're basically doing it is webinars. So we're really dialed in and just going to run like a bi-weekly webinar. That's what we did here. And it really depends, I would say, on the business model and the way you want to run it. So when I was doing this for myself, what worked really well was just paid workshops. So I would actually run ads to these as well. They'd just be bare basic, 50, two payments of 50 or $100, dead simple sales page. And I would have that going organic and with a paid ads perspective. And that was always my main conversion mechanism into my productized offer. For this specific offer, I've never really done webinars. I did my very first one for this guy. And it did well. This was my very first one, which I loved. And so now I'm like, I just want to get really good at this skill. So that's why I'm kind of selfishly choosing to go this direction. But the frame of it, I think it really comes down to is, if you don't want to do it with sales calls, you need something to replace that, right? Because if you did use sales calls, you can have multiple touch points in there. You might do like a 2-call close where, typically if you're running a low ticket offer with a call, you're basically, your first upsell is, hey, book an onboarding call, right? We're going to get you dialed in. That's when the setter triages you, kind of pre-frame some of the results some of the clients have gotten, and then actually sets you up with a closer. So there's multiple points of intimacy there. If you're doing it without calls, you basically need to create that level of intimacy and relationships through marketing. And so the way I typically do this is like daily emails, daily posts in a community, and then having some sort of marketing conversion event, whether that's a webinar or a workshop, at least once a month, because you need people to get in front of you to actually experience you and your vibe. And I know so many people now just buy for vibes. There's so many people that do what we do. The number of clients that just said, "Oh, I like your vibe, that's why I bought," is just astronomically high. So having just the ability for them to see you and experience you over time is a key thing. And
That's
one thing I'll note on this as well, just is that when you're not using sales calls, you will have short tail and long tail conversions, right? And even if you are, this is a really great thing to remember, right? So I've had people that have joined and ascended to my stuff, after a year of getting a daily email from me. Like sometimes even, I think the longest one's like been a year and a half or 2 years. They've been on my list for ages, reading pretty much every single email I put out. And then all of a sudden they say, "Oh, hey, it's right now is the time. Let's do this." Right.
yeah.
And so I think it's really, really important to always remember, there's this old sales quote that always comes into my mind. I think it was by Jeb Bloat, who wrote Fanatical Prospecting. And he said, like, what you do now influences 90 days from now. So on the back end, it's really important to remember that. it's really important to remember like the tiny actions you're going to do today of like showing up in the community, you know, even just like answering someone's question publicly or sending a daily email. All of that stuff heavily influences what's going to happen down the line 90 days from now, because you never know who's watching. Like that's the other thing, you just never know who on your audience is watching and paying attention. They're often very quiet in the background.
Very, very quiet. It's the bigger ones. I say this all the time. You know, the lunkers are the ones that are really lurkers.
Yeah.
That, you know, that all of a sudden show up and like, oh, I'm ready to buy, and they're like, I didn't even know you existed.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I know, and it's huge, man. Yeah.
That's fantastic. And so, um, on the are you doing this all on Meta ads, or are you? How else are you doing running traffic?
Just Meta. Like I haven't branched over to YouTube. I see probably in the future we'll do Google keyword next before jumping over to YouTube, just
Yeah,
because YouTube is a much bigger beast. And I know I haven't talked to a lot of people that are running low ticket on YouTube. Um, I find like Meta's a great platform for that. YouTube can work, and I have had some people say it, but my assumption has always been like if you're running a call booking funnel, run it on YouTube. If you're running anything low ticket, like a digital product with a longer form sales page, then typically Meta, because the way I always see this is it's like on YouTube, as an example, it's a different type of sales page. You're basically having a gated VSL because they're going from video. You want to bring them to another video, hide a button probably for 3 to 5 minutes, get them to watch the video, and then be able to purchase the product, is my assumption. But for now, just Meta.
yeah.
Simple answer.
Well, I no, I agree with you, especially because this is the thing I would, because when we do YouTube, I'm like, they're like, well, I'm not getting clients directly from YouTube. I'm like, they're people aren't trained to buy stuff on YouTube. Right? I think we're trained to click and buy something on Facebook. People are trained to learn and discover. So that's where, you know, we have success is like, because they'll spend 10 times as long with you on YouTube that they will on Facebook. So, you know, especially like if someone's in services and they get on a call with you, now they've spent an hour with you. Whereas on Facebook, they won't. Meta, they won't. But like buying a $7 offer on Facebook is like, oh yeah, sure, boop, right?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And the thing I want to clarify too is that just because they're a buyer doesn't mean they're like 100% really interested in becoming a client. I think a lot of people get this mixed up, right? People buy for a lot of
Mhm.
reasons. Whereas the thing I love about YouTube, and one of the reasons I'm really saying like today forward, I'm getting back into YouTube, is because I always remember this thing from Sam Evans, who was spending, I don't know, hundreds of millions of dollars, well, probably collectively over his lifetime, like 100 million plus on Meta. And he's like, when I shut everything down, YouTube was the only traffic source that that kept getting us clients. Like everything else just died, right?
Yeah.
And I really think that my whole frame on organic that a lot of people forget is that organic has two purposes. It's like there's the one side, which is the virality side. And this is the way I think about it. It's like that's what Hermosi does. You hire the six-figure content team. Maybe that's you and your team, and you're helping them scale and go viral and all this stuff, right? But the other side is the organic side of just bringing people that come into your ecosystem and getting them to consume more of your stuff so that by the time they jump on a sales call, they're like ready to buy. This always reminds me when I joined Dan Locke's program, like way back in the day, his high ticket closer thing. But I've seen so much of Dan Locke's YouTube content that I'm like, I'm already ready to buy. Like, here's a credit card, right? I was
Yeah.
ready to go. Like, I didn't even need the sales call.
It's YouTube's a different, and I think so many people try and take Facebook and shove it into YouTube, and then they're like, it doesn't work. And I'm like, because it's not, we use it different. And
Yeah.
we use YouTube different than Facebook. And you have to think about how people use something like you're saying, you go there to learn. You watch some stuff on Facebook. I mean, when's the last time you watched even 20 minutes on Facebook, right?
No,
It's and like
not at
we were
all.
talking about Mark Kashif before, and I discovered him on YouTube, and you know he's been on the show. But what was interesting is like I'm in a school group and I'm in other school groups, and I still watch the videos on YouTube. And I'm like, I don't know why. It's just more comfortable on YouTube.
Yep.
So you're 28K, 100, you know, scaling now, and you're thinking about long term. What are the kind of touch points? What are the keys right now to gain the right touch points to scale into recurring revenue with something like this?
Yeah, so just talking about this with my partner today too. So the biggest thing we're doing is really two things in my opinion. So, well, three I would say. So first is just obviously optimize the front end, make sure that keeps consistent, make sure our numbers are in KPI and everything like that, launching new ad creatives, all that jazz, right? Second thing is really focus right now on product and offer. So I'm going through the process of, and I was just chatting with you about this, about learning Claude Code and starting to build some customized AI tools. Because right now, I think the person we're working with, he's awesome. He can show up on camera, he can talk, but the product's a bit messy. And so we're like, how can we take this folder that's just a bunch of downloadable resources and like make this nice in Notion? And maybe even, is this even necessary? Can we create an AI tool so that they don't even have to potentially even consume any of this stuff? Right. And so
Yeah.
what we did like last week is we sat down, mapped out the entire product. We're mapping out all the bonuses. We're saying where can an AI tool theoretically fit in to like fast track this process? Because the biggest thing we know is that if we can get people little wins and get them in momentum, then they're way more likely to succeed. They're way more likely to have a great case study testimonial. They're way more likely to go tell other people about it, right? And so that's our really big frame, is getting people into momentum a lot faster versus making this just another learning program, which is kind of what it is right now. And we're changing that. And then the final thing I would say is actually content. So we're going to be really like focusing on our partner to get him actually more on YouTube, more on these different platforms to be able to actually create, for two reasons. So the first is just the organic people that already are in our world. The other is then literally just downloading that YouTube video and turning that into an ad. And I think this is like one of the best hacks, is that if you have really content specific YouTube content, or even longer form content, you can use a very simple ad format to link to anything whatsoever, which is just step one, watch this video about this. Step two, click here to get the free guide, buy my thing, whatever it is, right? That's step one. Step two works so well for YouTube content. I got that from I think it was tier 11 marketing. They had this like really ancient swipe file, and they had some of their highest ROAS ads. I always remember were just these simple kind of explainer videos teaching something. And so the nice thing about when you have longer form content like that, it really opens a huge branch of possibilities for like longer form top of funnel content that then streams down. So if people even consume a percentage of that video, then we can then retarget them with other ads. And it just feeds the whole ecosystem versus just going, here's an ad, buy my thing, direct to cart, right? Which does work
Yeah.
and can scale well. But you obviously, if you can layer in some of that top form or top of funnel content, and just amplify it with ads and don't rely on the algorithm. I'm like, I don't care about the algorithm. Let me just give you some money and you get it to 10 or 20 or 30,000 people, right? I don't need to worry about the algorithm. I'll just give you some cash. That's cool, Facebook. Like, you win there. And so that's a big push, is making sure that we have that on the top of the funnel, so that people are we're just really building the brand. Because I know as soon as you get a front end offer like this working, you're gonna have like 5 copycats pop up in the next 6 months. And so the way you can really double down on this and hold your ground is just making sure you have brand over just direct response. That's a big thing.
That's yeah, it's huge, and yeah, and the face and voice are the brand, right? It's
Exactly.
and getting on video and experiencing. Like I think you said that this is a crucial thing. I think that most people don't understand. It's like experiencing you, no matter what business you're in, especially now with AI. It's going to be more and more important. And I think that's doing the webinar is awesome. And so if you have like someone is a coach and right now they want to get started working with you, I obviously can go to the website at what's productizedcoach.com.
Yeah, productizecoach.com. That's right.
All right, so we'll put a link to that in the show notes. We'll put a link to your YouTube channel in the show notes. But if you're give someone one piece of advice right now that to get started doing something like this, to test it out, to just get moving, what would be the first thing you would do?
A great question. I would say if someone was just wanting to launch a front end offer, I would say stop focusing on product, focus on sales, and to the point where I would even say don't even build a product. I would focus entirely on putting a very simple, like 300 to 500 word sales page together. It's funny, AI sounds fantastic in theory, that it could just write you this beautiful piece of garbage that nobody would ever read. But I find right now, especially in this world, is that if you can simplify concepts into a few hundred words, people have so much like, oh, this is just a breath of fresh air. So I would say if you can have like a 3 to 500 word sales page with just, a really good headline with a verb, get this result, make sure it's really good, have a very simple sales page, and then all you have to do to test this, just to actually see if this has legs, is have a button that they click that goes to a pop-up. And if they fill in their details there, it just goes to a coming soon page. And I love this. This is like one of the easiest ways to validate ads. If you get however many people you get in that pop-up, you can assume like 3 will actually buy. And so you can really quickly, without even building product, just start testing things. And I really think the number one curse of the expert is product every single time, because they put their self-worth and their identity into this product. When the thing they have to realize is that product is an evolving thing. Like when the first iPhone came out, I didn't even really try it, but I don't think it was that amazing, compared to what iPhone 14 is or 15 is today, right? And I think that's an important thing to remember, is that product doesn't have to be amazing. You just have to give people one little insight that they didn't have before for this price point, and they will be thrilled. If you can give someone just one clear insight into their current situation to help them even make even like a 0.5 or 1% gain towards where they want to go, they will be so happy because they're further than where they started. And that's ultimately what we're doing. So I really think that the biggest curse I've seen over and over again is focusing on product. And so if I could give you one piece of advice, is focus on sales. Just say, how can I launch something in 24, 48 hours, get this thing live, and just see if I can test $100 of ad spend to see what kind of results it gets.
That's fantastic. That's such good advice. Simple, easy, and only folks are like, that's too easy. No, but that's what works. Uh, um, awesome.
I'll post. I'll send you something too. You can check out. I always love this one lady. She came into my program and she's like said, she wasn't even a coaching client. She just bought my $11 offer, and she's like, "Hey, I just made like $700 in profit, like without an order bump or an upsell." And her page is always the one I reference. It's the most basic. It's just like a title, and it's like, "Here's what we're doing." It's like, first we're doing this, then we're doing this, then we're doing this. Who am I to help you? My name is Anna. Like, I can share the sales page if you want, and you can post it in the show notes too to check it out. It's like the most bare basic thing. And I think that this is just how simple it can be when you start. You don't need something super complicated. Like, ignore the AI people that tell you you need to have like 30 beautiful graphics and you need this and you need this. Like, all that is fluff. If you just focus on that one simple concept, you'll be golden to start.
I can't tell you how many things I've purchased because there was one thing in there that I was like, I just want that thing, right?
Yeah.
And it's like that one thing. It's like, I know you have this $1,000 thing. I'll pay you $1,000 for that one little thing. And it's like they could have led with that.
Yeah. That's always it.
Awesome, Zach. Well, we'll put a link to Productized Coach in here, link to your YouTube channel, and what's the best way to get in touch with you? Just go to Productized Coach.
Yeah, just go to Productized Coach, jump on my email list. I'm just starting to fire up my daily emails again. And yeah, if you ever want to reach out, just literally drop me a reply to any email. I reply to them all. So it'd be great to hear from you. And I'm looking forward to helping everyone get buyers. That's my jam. That's just what I love to do. And I just want to simplify the whole process because there's so much noise out there to this. And I think if people can get behind the fact of how life altering it can be to just spend $50 to $100 a day on ads and just walk away from your computer for a week, and the thing is just still running and still bringing you buyers, and you're like, wow, my ads are paying for themselves right now. It's just the most monumentally shifting experience I've ever experienced anyway in marketing.
You've
So I
got
hope
me
I want the
inspired.
same for you.
You've got me inspired to go fire up my Meta ads again.
Yeah, you got to do it.
Awesome.
Sweet, you.
Awesome. Well, Zach, thanks so much for being on the Garlic Marketing Show.
It's a pleasure, man. Thanks for having me.
And thank you all for making Zach and I part of your story that's been on Garlic and the Garlic Marketing Show.